My brother-in-law said he'd help me rewire the kitchen. When I got home, he'd stripped half the copper from the walls and left live wires hanging. He called it a learning experience. My wife said he meant well, so I called someone else, then sent him the invoice. I'm not a flashy guy. I work hard. I come home tired. I pay my bills. That's who I am. My wife Hannah and I have been married for 13 years. We live in an older house on the edge of Hagerstown, Maryland. Not too big, not too small. Just something we could afford and grow into. It's where I thought we'd grow old. We've spent the last decade fixing it up slowly, one room at a time. The kitchen was the big one. Outdated as hell. No dishwasher. Burnt countertops. Knob and tube wiring that made every appliance flicker the lights. I'd been saving for it for almost 2 years. Just wiring alone was a major cost, but I wanted it done right. I wasn't cutting corners, not when it came to electrical work. I started demo work myself in the evenings after work. It was exhausting, especially since I also helped take care of my dad on weekends. He's in his 70s now, bad back, a few small strokes. It's a lot. So when Hannah suggested her brother Mark could help, I wasn't thrilled. Mark's the kind of guy who shows up late to his own life. Always between jobs, always got some side hustle going, always got a story about why nothing's ever his fault. He's had jobs in plumbing, drywall, roofing, even said he did some light electrical. Never stuck with any of them. He's the guy who borrows $100 and somehow never pays you back, but you're the jerk if you bring it up. Still, Hannah was insistent. He said he wants to help, she told me. He's trying to do better. I didn't want to fight, so I agreed. Big mistake. That Monday morning, I left the back door unlocked for him, laid out everything on the counter. Spools of Romex wire, outlet boxes, GFCIs, even labeled which outlets were going where. I wrote out instructions with diagrams. I made it easy. I came home that evening around 6. First thing I noticed, the kitchen lights were dead. I figured, okay, maybe you shut off the breaker. I walked into the kitchen and stopped cold. Drywall was ripped open, but not just where the outlets had been. Whole sections of wall were just torn out at random angles. My brand new wire gone. The outlets gone. Some of the Romex I'd bought was hanging half-pulled from the ceiling, insulation stripped back in spots, copper exposed. Live wires were poking out of the wall in 4 different places, with one literally sparking near the baseboard. I backed out of the kitchen and cut power to the whole floor from the basement panel. Then I stood there, just staring. What the hell happened in here? I called Mark. He actually answered. Oh yeah, he said, real casual. I got started on it, but I ran into some creative problems. I asked him, where's the wire I left? He said, used what I could, had to experiment. Took some home to practice. You know, learning experience. Learning experience? You left live wires in my wall. He laughed. Come on, man. It's not that bad. You just gotta finish what I started. I said, are you coming back to finish it? He said, I've got a few other things this week. We'll see. Then he hung up. I just stood in the hallway, phone in my hand, trying not to scream. When Hannah got home, I showed her everything. She looked shocked, but instead of getting angry, she started making excuses. Maybe he got overwhelmed, she said. You know how he gets. No, this wasn't a mistake. He stole from us. She tried to defend him. He meant well. He wouldn't do that on purpose. He took the copper. He took the tools. He left the kitchen dangerous. What the hell do you think that is? She just stood there. He's family, she said, like that explained anything. I didn't argue. I was too tired. Next day, I called a licensed electrician, guy from Hagerstown Electric. When he walked in, he took one look and said, you're lucky your house didn't catch fire. He spent 2 full days fixing the mess. Rerouted everything. Replaced missing wire. Had to reground the entire panel because Mark had disconnected a neutral. It was bad. The final bill came to $3,460.85. I paid it. Then I printed out the receipt. But I wasn't done. About 6 months ago, I'd installed a Nest Cam in the garage facing the driveway. I'd forgotten about it, hadn't checked the feed in weeks. I pulled up the footage from the day Mark was here. There he was, around 10:30 a.m., walking out of my kitchen with 2 full spools of copper wire under his arm. Shoves them into the bed of his pickup. Comes back 30 minutes later and grabs a toolbox. All caught in clear daylight. I saved the clips. Put them on a flash drive. Printed stills with timestamps. Wrote a short note. You stole from me. You endangered my home. This is your invoice. Pay it, or I press charges. I put everything in a manila envelope and mailed it to Mark's apartment in Frederick. I didn't tell Hannah. Not yet. But I knew one thing. This wasn't over. He thought he could treat me like I was stupid. He thought I'd let it slide. That was his mistake. The envelope hit his mailbox on a Thursday. By Saturday morning, I had a missed call from an unknown number. Then another. Then a voicemail. It was Mark. "You're out of your mind, man," he said. "What the hell is this? You're trying to charge me for hiring some overpriced clown after I helped you for free? You serious? You should be thanking me. You're acting like I robbed you. What the F **** is wrong with you?" I didn't respond. I let it sit. That night, Hannah confronted me. She had the envelope in her hand. "Why did you send this to my brother?" I looked her dead in the eyes. "Because he stole from us. And he could have burned the house down. He left live wires, Hannah. He took things. It's all on camera. He told me you were trying to shake him down, that you were threatening legal stuff just to scare him." I walked into the garage, grabbed the laptop, and pulled up the Nest footage. She watched her brother load 2 spools of wire and my DeWalt drill into his truck like he was doing a routine grocery run. She didn't say a word for a full minute. When it ended, she just whispered, "I didn't know." I wanted to believe her. I needed to believe she hadn't known. But then she said, "Still, couldn't you have handled it more privately? Without the threats?" That was the moment something snapped inside me. He'd stolen, lied, put our home in danger. And I was being told I should have been more polite? I told her flat out, "If you keep protecting him, we're going to have a bigger problem than this kitchen." She walked out of the room. A few days later, I got a certified letter in the mail. It was from Mark. Inside was a handwritten statement, 2 pages of complete nonsense. He claimed the wire was taken temporarily for a side project and that he intended to return all unused materials. He actually wrote, "I contributed significant labor and expertise. Any misunderstanding is due to unclear communication by the homeowner. No check, no apology, just gaslighting in ink." I scanned it and sent a copy to a lawyer I knew, guy I met through the local VFW. He looked it over and said, "You've got theft, fraud, and possible code violations. You've got leverage." So I filed a police report. I turned in the footage, the photos, the invoice, everything. The officer who took it was polite but blunt. "This happens more than you'd think. Family thinks they can get away with it." That same week, something else happened. I got home Wednesday and found a dent in my truck door. Passenger side. Deep, fresh, like someone had sideswiped it with a trailer hitch. No note. No neighbor saw anything. I checked the Nest cam, nothing from the street side. But when I checked my rear cam later, I caught just a glimpse of a red truck rolling by slow. It looked a lot like Mark's beat-up Ford. I didn't have hard proof, but I knew in my gut it was retaliation. When I brought it up to Hannah, she said, "Don't start accusing him again. You don't know it was him." "No," I said, "but I know what kind of man he is now." The tension in the house got bad after that. Silent dinners. Closed doors. She stopped talking to me about anything except the dog or the mail. I caught her texting him late at night. Once I asked what they were talking about, she just said, "Trying to keep the peace." But that's the thing, there was no peace. There was just me, footing the bill, cleaning up the mess, while her brother treated me like some sucker who should feel lucky he even showed up. I knew then I had to take it further. Because if Mark wasn't going to pay voluntarily, and if Hannah wasn't going to hold him accountable, then I'd make sure someone did. And I was done keeping quiet about it. A week after I filed the police report, an officer called to follow up. He said they tried contacting Mark, but couldn't reach him. Phone disconnected. Apartment empty. "Looks like he moved," the officer said. "Any idea where he might be?" I didn't. And when I asked Hannah, she claimed she didn't either. "He wouldn't just disappear," she said. But I knew better. He was running. That should have been the end of it. Small-time thief skips town to dodge consequences. But that's not what happened. 3 nights later, I got a call from our neighbor across the street, Mr. Dobbins. Retired guy. Real sharp. Keeps an eye on the block like it's his full-time job. "Hey," he said. "Saw someone out back near your fence around midnight last night. Tall, hoodie, looked like he was trying not to be seen. Just figured you should know." I checked the backyard. One of the floodlights had been smashed. Looked like it was hit with a rock. Nothing was taken. Nothing burned. But someone had been there. I filed another report, but the cop basically shrugged. "Without video or ID, we can't do much." When I told Hannah, she looked me in the eye and said, "You think he's going to hurt us?" "No," I said. "I think he's going to push until someone makes him stop." Then came the real twist. Sunday morning, I went out to the shed to grab a box of old tools. We keep it locked, always have. But this time, the lock wasn't just open, it was gone. Bolt cutters must have been used. Inside, half my tools were missing. My late father's socket set. My backup drill. Extension cords, ladders. Gone. That's when I lost it. I marched back into the house and laid it all out for Hannah, the break-in, the stolen tools, the smashed light, the neighbor's sighting. "Tell me where he is," I said, "or I'm filing a restraining order." She didn't respond. Just looked down. Silent. "Tell me," I repeated. And then, finally, she broke. "I've been sending him money," she said. "I didn't want to tell you because I knew you'd be angry. But he said he was desperate. He said he'd pay it back once he gets on his feet." My stomach dropped. "How much?" She didn't answer. I had to check the bank account myself. Over the past 2 months, she'd sent him over $3,200, nearly the same amount I'd spent fixing what he broke. That was the moment everything shifted. It wasn't just about the kitchen anymore, or the tools, or the copper wire. This was betrayal on 2 fronts. He robbed me. She funded him, without telling me, behind my back. And all while I was the one trying to hold everything together, the house, the finances, the safety, the damn marriage. I told her to leave. I didn't shout. I didn't slam doors. I just said it calmly. "Go stay with your sister. I need space. And I need to decide what comes next." She started crying. Said I was overreacting. Said she was just trying to protect her brother. But that's what she never understood. She didn't protect him. She enabled him. And now I was the one left alone in a half-renovated kitchen, a stripped shed, a burned-out floodlight, and a marriage full of secrets. But I wasn't going to stay the victim. I was already working on something bigger, something permanent. After Hannah left, the silence in the house was louder than anything I'd ever heard. I didn't eat right, didn't sleep much. I just kept walking into the kitchen, looking at those clean new outlets, the perfect wiring, the work I paid for, and thinking about what it cost me. $3,000 in repairs. Thousands more in stolen tools and materials. But the worst part wasn't the money. It was the betrayal. By both of them. I stopped waiting for apologies. Instead, I took the evidence, the bank records, the footage, the police reports, the photos of the shed, the invoice, and I handed them all to a lawyer. I sued Mark in small claims court. He didn't show. Not for the hearing. Not for the summons. Nothing. The judge ruled in my favor by default. $6,850. I filed for wage garnishment. But there was nothing to garnish. He wasn't employed. That's when I found out he was working under the table for some sketchy contractor down in Montgomery County. So I called the county licensing office and filed a formal complaint. I submitted proof that he was doing unlicensed electrical work, including footage of what he did in my home. It took a few weeks, but they investigated. That contractor? He got fined. Mark? He got barred from contracting work for 2 years in the state of Maryland. It didn't get me my money back, but it cut off his supply. Then I went one step further. I sent copies of everything, court judgment, complaint filings, stills from the theft, to every single job site and vendor the contractor had listed online. I didn't have to say much. Just the facts. Just the receipts. Mark called me the next day from a new number. "You vindictive piece of SHT," he said. "You ruined my ***ing life." "No," I said. "You did that." I just wrote it down. He never called again. Hannah stayed at her sister's for 3 months. She texted sometimes, but I didn't reply much. Then one day she showed up at the house, asked if we could talk. She said she realized how badly she'd handled everything, that she should have been honest, that she just wanted to believe her brother wasn't the man he actually was. I asked her one question. "If it had been my brother who stole from you, endangered your home, and dragged you through this hell, would you have defended him?" She couldn't answer. That was enough for me. We filed for separation 2 weeks later. Quiet. No drama. No yelling. I let her keep her car and half the savings. I didn't want to fight anymore. I just wanted my peace. That winter, I finished the kitchen alone. New cabinets. New floor. Tiled backsplash. I even added under-cabinet lighting. The kind that clicks on when you walk in. The night I screwed in the final fixture, I stood in the doorway for a long time, just watching it glow. Clean. Safe. Mine. Mark still owes me money. I doubt I'll ever see a dime. Hannah sends a card on Christmas. I don't read them, but sometimes, when the house is quiet, I walk past that kitchen, tap the lights on, and smile. Because they thought I'd roll over. Instead, I rebuilt everything they broke, better, stronger, and without either of them. And I never left the lights on for them again.